fired up is jacked up. Suffice to say, Jeff Wilson and I are jacked up. After that performance by Jack Leiter, the Rangers are 5-2. We're jacked up, and we're here to jack you up, too. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, there's the genius of the prophet. Leiter fluid. Yes, Jack Leiter was fluid today, and he was fire, which is typically the result of Leiter fluid. So you get it. You get the play on words there from the prophet. Yeah, what a great game it was for the Rangers youngster, Jack Leiter. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, post-game edition. John Radigan here with Jeff Wilson, and the prophet is Elijah Smith over there making all those great little graphics and puns for us, and we appreciate that very much. We appreciate you, too. Chat with us, like us, subscribe to us, but let us know what you thought about the performance by Jack Leiter today. I don't know that there's a way to think it was anything other than great, Jeff. I mean, I guess if there's anything you're disappointed in, it's that he didn't get to come out for the sixth because of a precautionary thing with the blister on the middle finger.
Yeah, I mean, his command... his control and command, both.
Yeah, the same.
And the velocity were so good. The blister certainly didn't appear to be an issue at all. And so you think that it's with the day off before his next start, the day off tomorrow, everybody gets an extra day of rest. You would think that he'd be able to make a start. Yeah, they can treat that thing in a variety of ways, even put a little something over it. But, this is what everybody wanted, like, as soon as he was drafted. Yeah, that's the key. But these things take time. And no, he wasn't very good at AA in his first year. And he probably, looking back, I think the organization believes that they did rush him. Probably should have started him at high A, but they didn't. Then he goes back to AA, not very good. They pull him out of competition, and it's been going the right way ever since. Yes, it was not very good in the majors last year, but it was so good in AAA that he was a pitcher of the year in that league.
Right.
And so he comes to spring training this year, just carrying himself differently, looking like he belonged, and pitching very, very, very well, but not this well. This was really good.
Yeah.
This has been excellent stuff.
Yeah.
You thought it was good Friday against the Red Sox. This was fantastic.
Yeah, this was sort of following in the footsteps of the guy who pitched yesterday type stuff. And that, of course, if you didn't see, was Nathan Eovaldi, who was in such command of the game. Mike Maddox said before, after the game, with regard to the bullpen session that Nathan threw before the game, he never missed the glove. I got news for you. Jack Leiter didn't miss the glove today at all. He was spotting at every pitch, but that fastball, that 97-mile-an-hour fastball, low and outside to the right-hand hitter, Jeff, was like it was in the same dot every time.
I thought his best pitch of the game was that heater to McLean that was right on the outside corner after he'd thrown the one to the backstop, right? Yep. And then he came back and was 99 on the corner. I mean, that is impossible to hit. Or maybe not hit, but do any damage with it. So, man, if he's able to just show that kind of command, it all starts with the fastball. The slider was as good as it's been, as far as I've ever seen him. Just a great pitch. If you've got the two like that, you're going to do fine. And he still has that changeup that he's throwing, still has a sinker, still has a curveball he can mix in. This is pretty good stuff, and it's exciting to see if you're a Rangers fan. You love to see this.
Well, and when you see a guy on the opposite side who was the second overall pick and who's a little bit ahead of Jack in the developmental tree, and you're going, man, this guy's tough. Look, Jack went toe-to-toe with him and won today. I mean, he got the win. Green got the loss.
Yeah, Green was a prep player, so he got drafted, I think, 17, but a second overall pick.
Yeah.
Had the Tommy John. So he missed some time there. But, you kind of look at the way they pitched. Green was just fastball slider, and it was good. And the fastball's a little bit harder than Leiter throws it, but we're talking 100 miles an hour to 98 miles an hour. We're not talking anything crazy. But it seemed at times throughout the start, I thought it seemed a little straight. And I thought that Josh Smith's first at bat was really, really, really good. It was 8 or 9 pitches. He was fouling off the fastball. He eventually swung and missed one, but then turns out his next time up is the only RBI. He hit it one hop the fence in left center for a double. So good for Josh Smith there. But yeah, you look at Hunter Green, and it's a big guy. Throws hard as heck. He's a good guy on and off the field. Kind of a guy who would fit the Rangers mold. But it is pretty. And I wonder, how often do number 2 overall picks ever face each other?
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's 4 years apart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But still, it's pretty cool.
But again, Mike Bassick mentioned that when Hunter was drafted, he was thought to be the American version of Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Because he had been such an offensive player in high school as well, and then he was this this great pitcher. And to be honest, when Jack Leiter got drafted, you're just kind of hoping he can be Al Leiter. Maybe more. But my point is that you're just asking for him. And boy, I tell you what, he was all that and more today as he just and he seemed to grow even more in confidence, which you will. In a game like this, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe it's a situation where the offense isn't going to have a good day. I mean, it seems like right now the offense wouldn't have a good day against you or me or rarities there.
Yeah,
in the chat,
right.
But it's to go out and keep your team in the game and to dominate major league hitters. Matt McClain is a heck of a player.
Yeah.
Former first rounder.
Yeah.
Elly de la Cruz, of course, all-star and one of the faces of the game, and you're going against a manager who knows how to manufacture runs.
Great point.
Terry Francona. And that Hunter Green's going to be tough. So you go out there and do what you did, blister or not. That's got to be a confidence builder for sure.
Yeah, and you make a great point because there was a shot on the broadcast right at the beginning of the game, just before the game started, and it was Tito, Terry Francona, and Boch standing there. And 2 things about that. I've always thought Terry Francona was a pretty big, kind of imposing guy. And, man, Boch towers over him, man. It looked like a dad and his son. But anyway, but I thought there's those 2 future Hall of Fame managers standing there for this picture and everything. I thought, I hope that's not the highlight of the game. And obviously it was not the highlight of the game, and far from it. But the Rangers have done something now that they have never done in Texas Rangers franchise history, and that is that they have won back-to-back 1-0 games. That surprised both of us. We kind of went, whoa. And they've only done it once in the entire franchise history, going back to 1961 with the Washington Senators. I think it was in actually 62 that they had back-to-back 1-0 games. But this is a significant accomplishment, what this pitching staff has done.
Yeah, I think it probably speaks, well, I don't know. Does it speak equally about the subpar pitching staffs the Rangers have had, or the great offenses where they never play 1-0 games?
Right.
But it is strange. I mean, this is the 54th season of Rangers baseball, and for that to be the first time to happen is nuts. I mean, I don't know how many games that is. Let's say 160 a year times 50. That's got to be that's 80,000 games. Is that right?
That's a lot.
And for it to happen once, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like we said the other day,
8,000 games.
That's right. We said the other day, anytime you're making history. Now, again, this franchise doesn't go back to the 1800s, but anytime you're making history in the game of baseball, it's a pretty cool thing. So it was just great. Jeff mentioned Josh Smith's offense and that really pretty good strikeout, and then the double that he admitted to Laura Stickles on the broadcast that the wind might have gotten that just a little bit and tricked them out there. Doesn't matter. It hit the wall. He got to second base, and Jock Peterson scored from first. It's the second time in the series that Jock Peterson has scored from first base. And Jeff, he kind of choked, I think, after that game. Well, speed kills. Like, he's not the speedster he once was. Let's put it that way.
Right. He's a Gold Glove winner in the outfielder in his career. He has a Gold Glove, and everybody is hearing the stories about he was a high school receiver with Dante Adams, and so these guys are all athletic. Obviously, he doesn't appear to be as athletic as he once was. I think those days at DH have kind of helped him pack on the pounds. Not that he's heavy, but he's not as fleet of foot as he used to be, and that's fine. Just get on base, run when you've got to do it. But he had to score on that ball. He absolutely had to score on the ball, especially for this offense. Well, there's no guarantees that get him home.
No doubt. And it felt from the beginning like this is going to be a 1-0 game again. Just didn't know who was going to get the one. So if the Rangers got the one, which of course they did, that was a great thing. And then Josh Smith had a great play defensively too. I mean, with what the wind was doing as it kind of blew across, it almost blew
right field
right field over to left field, but everything you tried to hit to right field was dying. And if you got it into the air in left field, you might have some luck, a la Josh Smith. But that ball that Josh Smith had to field was just all over the place, and he goes out and makes a over-the-shoulder kind of a catch. It looked like it was going to drop in.
Yeah, last year in June, right when he kind of hurt himself, hurt his tailbone area, he made a great running over-the-shoulder catch from third base in shallow left field, a ball that nobody ever thought he would catch. He's very good at going back on pop-ups. He's a really good infielder, very good shortstop. King Twister says it seems like the Rangers play better with Smith at shortstop, and Smith is a better shortstop than Seager. Corey Seager is fantastic on pop-ups, though.
Yeah.
So but you're right. I mean, Josh Smith has the better range and all of that. Just the way the club's constructed right now.
Yeah,
Corey Seager is going to be.
You got to tap the brakes on
he's
that.
He's going to be the shortstop.
Yeah.
But I get where you're coming from. And a lot of times, all you want from your shortstop is to catch the balls that are hit to you and make the outs that you have to make. I mean, that's what you want from all of your defensive players. And then occasionally go out and make a nice play that the other guys do. The play that ended the game Sunday when Corey had to charge it and make a quick accurate throw, very, very good. He does a lot of good things defensively, but man, that was a good play by Josh Smith.
Yep, there's no doubt about that. That was a great play by him. And how about the plays on defense that Jake Berger continually needs to make? And he continues to make them. It's really amazing how the ball finds you. I mean, I swear to God I haven't written 3-1 in my book as much in 7 games as I have so far this year, Jeff. It's always seems to be hit to Jake Berger, and he's got to feed it over to the pitcher, and several of them have been difficult plays to make, and he's made them.
Well, I think you said it either during the postgame show or just to me in casual chat about how the Rangers' ground ball rate is up drastically through the first, at the time, 6 games this year compared to last year, and that means your guys got to pick it, and the first baseman has to do his part too, and fortunately. The thing that Bruce Bochy has said during spring training is that this guy's played third base and second base, so he has some range. He knows how to get around. He has good footwork, and the few times that it'll come into play, he's going to have a good arm because it's not easy to throw from third to first. So there's a good foundation there,
right?
And the expectation is it'll get better. Scooping the throws, the one that got away from him Sunday, that stuff's going to develop in time.
Yeah, and that's been the only deficiency, and I think that's to your point, Jeff. The only he can field the ground ball. That's not a problem. It's the scoop right now not all of them have baffled him. He's scooped several balls, but the scoop is sort of the thing that is sort of on the learning curve right now, and Jake will get way better at that too. But it's been really fun to watch him because the ball has found him so often so far early in this season. All right, coming up next as we run through this 1-0 win that gets the Rangers to 5-2 on the season. We talk about the bullpen. It was pressed into even more service than maybe they expected it to be. Not that they're worried about that. They've got an off day tomorrow. The bullpen was great. In fact, you could almost say perfect. We talk about that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, but I want to tell you about the American Rodeo. It's the richest day in rodeo. It's coming to Globe Life Field in April 10th through the 12th, and it is a fantastic event. I'm saying come to the rodeo and stay for the party, because afterwards, each day, there are concerts that'll be held at Globe Life Field with some of your favorite artists, and the rodeo action will be fantastic. This is a place where all the world champions get together at one time. I had a chance yesterday to interview one of those world champions, Cade Saunier, who is the bareback world champion. He won it at Globe Life Field last year, and he won $100,000. This year, because of that, he's got a chance to win $1 million. Who will be rodeo's next millionaire? Find out Friday. Great action. It's the qualifying round. Saturday, even better action as the best of the best go head-to-head to see who walks away with $1 million at Globe Life Field.
You know, at some point, these bull riders and bronc busters and all this stuff, they're going to need some timeline.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Maybe today.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah.
Timeline sells health and longevity supplements featuring their proprietary Mito Pure ingredient. The cells are the building blocks of our bodies. So Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to give you more energy, feel stronger, and preserve health. And the patented ingredient, Mito Pure, it's a postbiotic nutrient that clears out our dysfunctional mitochondria. We're big mitochondria folks, a.k.a. your cell's battery packs. So with regular use, you'll feel the difference in the form of better energy, better workouts, faster recovery, and more endurance, things everybody needs. So right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/DLLS to get started. That's timeline.com/DLLS, 10% off.
Is that the real Gil every time?
That is the real Gil. Yeah,
What's he saying? That. I can't see it from here.
He said Duran is lost at the plate. What about Foscue at second when Seager rests? The shortstop could be Simeon. Why not? Well, Gil, we always appreciate Gil's insight.
We do. I love seeing Gil in the chat.
Former Fort Worth newspaper columnist for forever, and then now he's a Rangers season ticket holder. Sits right below the press box, so we get to see Gil every once in a while. But Foscue isn't very good at second.
No,
and I think that's the concern with that. And then he
still hasn't hit.
He's just not hitting at the major league level. He had a home run last night at Round Rock. But I think there are concerns about him offensively. Simeon could probably go play shortstop, but I don't even know the last time he took a ground ball over there. But it doesn't matter. He's got Wash's teaching behind him. So, piece of cake. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind Jake Berger at third. Give it a shot. The problem then is that you got to play Jock Peterson at first.
I was going to say, who do you have at first? I mean, then you're putting Josh Smith over there.
I mean, you could call up our boy Blaine Krim.
Yeah, you could do that.
Anyway, it's too early for that.
And by the way, Josh Smith can play second, too, if you wanted to do that. The thing is, Marcus Simeon does not want to move. You know, his first year, when Seager was out, they moved Simeon over to short and put somebody else in at second because, Marcus had been a shortstop. And then after the first year, he said, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. He is one of those creatures of habit. It's one of the reasons that Marcus Simeon has said, I'm not trying any, torpedo bat. Anything like that. I do what I do, and he might. I mean, look, he might, but his initial instinct is, I just want to keep doing what I do and doing it every day. Same thing with Corey Seager. Corey's like, it's not about the implement. It's about me and my body, and if I'm in a position to hit. Yeah. And so those are the things that those guys, cherish and have made them so successful. That's why they got those huge contracts that they got with the Rangers, because of, in the case of Simeon, longevity and consistency, and in the case of obviously Seager, not that much longevity at that point, but spectacular consistency. So those are the things that those guys are striving for. Marcus really doesn't have any interest in playing shortstop on any sort of a part-time basis.
Right.
Now, if something happened, God forbid, to Seager, well, they may be able to talk him into going, you're going to play it the rest of the year, something like that.
Well, Rarities said, would Walcott be an interesting call-up? He could play shortstop and Josh Smith could play third. Well, Josh Young isn't going to be out much longer.
No.
That's the thought here. So if something were to happen to Corey, which, if this calf deal and his propensity, look at the track record, the guy gets hurt. If they needed a long-term shortstop, they'd probably still stick with Smith. I think they'd be intrigued by Walcott. Of course, Walcott has played like 5 games at AA. I know he's in big league camp and showed pretty well. 19, and plus, when's the last time they played?
Right.
The AA season doesn't start until Friday. Maybe eventually, and I really think that if Walcott gets off to a fast start and can get bumped to AAA and keeps producing, then I think at the second half the Rangers have to think about some things. But I do think that Duran is not long for the roster. I just he has to be on there as insurance. I think that's ultimately what it was. If Young and Seager had been healthy to start the year, then maybe they do something else. But also kind of look at their position player pool. Guys who are on the 40-man roster position player-wise. It's Foscue and Ornelas and Dustin Harris.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I might be missing one. But so that's what you're choosing from. And again, Smith Duran is just more versatile than them. He has more offensive impact upside than Ornelas. I mean, Ornelas could have played today or yesterday, and he didn't.
Yep.
So anyway.
And Jonathan's offense isn't what Zeke's has been or what it can be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Zeke has proven that he can do it at the major league level offensively. Nobody's doing much offensively right now for the Rangers, nor him. But the thing that bothers you is, the error on Sunday. He let that throw sail on him today. I mean, he got to that ball. He did the hard part, and then the ball just sailed on him. Jake Berger actually made a heck of a leap to get that ball and keep it from, letting that runner advance on to second base. So, those things bother you just a little bit because I think Zeke's always been pretty good over there at the hot corner.
But definitely better at shortstop. No question about it. But he can play second. He can play first. They're just and both he and Smith can play the outfield. Ornelas probably can too, but just the way it's set up right now. They again, with the way the 40-man remains, that might have been what cost Sam Haggerty a shot at the roster. Although Haggerty can't play shortstop, so a lot of different ways to look at it.
Yeah, and we speculated way back in the winter in the off season, maybe early in spring training. It might have even must have been early in spring when the 3 center fielders were here. Right, and you had Evan, and you had Leote, and you had Kevin, and you're like, man, Kevin Pillar's probably going to make this team. And the thought was, maybe it's at the expense of Ezekiel Duran. We were talking about it even then because his position isn't as valuable. And I think they made, in this case, the right decision. Evan Carter needed that time in the minors, as his, very small sample early start has proven. He's not there yet, and he's hitting 1 for 15 or something like that.
77.
Yeah. So he's working on it. He'll get better. He'll be who Evan Carter was. But it was a wise decision to send him. And so given that choice, I think they made the right one. It's an ever-changing landscape, though, as far as this major league roster goes. And then as Jeff continues to remind you, it is, though, very tied to the 40-man roster. So you've got to keep that in mind. Now, let's get to that bullpen, which, gosh, it was the thing everybody was so worried about. And I guess, you have to count opening day as a letdown by the bullpen.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the Monday game, it was 6-0 when they went to the bullpen.
Yeah. I mean,
and so, when you're putting in Gerson Garabito in the 5th inning down 6-0, you're kind of bracing for the worst.
Yes.
And it happened because he had pitched well Saturday, 2 scoreless innings. But outside of that game, the bullpen's been fine. Even on opening day, the bullpen, 3 guys. I guess it was just 2 guys, but Garcia and Martin did their job. Jackson didn't. But since then, gosh, it's hard to complain with what these guys are doing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And today they had to go with the extra one. And I was, I mentioned on the show earlier today on the pregame edition, I said maybe they only let Jack go 5 again just to keep the confidence up and everything. And then they pulled him after 5, and we thought, I thought anyway, that's what they're doing. No, as it turns out, they wanted him. He wanted to go 6, but he had that blister again. Maybe just the beginnings of a blister, right? If it's a precautionary thing, maybe it's just the skin starting to look like there'll be a blister, and they do want to operate with an abundance of caution.
I got something on that.
Tell me.
I was
listening to
I was listening to Boach and listening to you read about
one of the things,
the ad read was
Monarch Money or somebody.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it developed during his first start.
Okay.
He didn't throw a bullpen session between starts, and it was fine coming in. Boach said that they could have pushed it. He could have gone out for the 6th, but they didn't want to flirt with anything worse happening. So that was the reasons behind that. So this isn't something that just popped up today, apparently.
Yeah.
And, and it's weird because, not weird, I guess it was Sunday. Leiter was, sitting there in his locker getting ready. I was like, hey, is today your bullpen day? He goes, I don't know.
That's right.
I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I don't know. Are you? But and so it was
and then
how does he not know if he's throwing a bullpen?
I was standing there. It almost seemed like he didn't understand your question, and you kind of clarified, like, you're between starts bullpen. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I was like, maybe I thought are you going to be available out of the bullpen today?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. No, I mean, like your normal bullpen. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever they want me to do. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's interesting. He didn't want to steer you wrong.
All right.
But
he
was kind of vague. Yeah.
Maybe if it had been Sunday morning, I would have been a little more inquisitive.
Yeah. So
and now I will be.
Yeah, that's right. Now we look, and you have to look at everything. Among the things that we must kind of keep an eye on when the Rangers get home is that Bruce Bochy confided before the game that this Corey Seager off day was not planned.
Yeah.
And so, again, back to TR on your shoulder with any injury, don't underestimate any injury.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this stiff calf is an injury, but it was an unplanned off day.
Yeah. So, maybe it stiffened up, the cool weather or whatever. Definitely it's not bad that he got an off day, because tomorrow's an off day. So you do the old 2-for-1. Two days off while missing just one game, but it is the second time he's had to be off in 7 games, and you want to see your best player in the lineup more than that.
No doubt.
So I guess this is something to watch, but the treatment and the day off, and I don't know who is pitching for the Rays in this upcoming series, but perhaps a lefty can give him a DH day. Sid Peterson, give him a Corey a day at DH, another little less impact on that turf on the calf. So it's there are ways to manage this thing. It doesn't sound like it's an injuryless situation, just something that you're going to have to pay attention to and mind a little bit. It again came up in the post game, and Boach said, Corey had to be off, but the guy we put at shortstop won the game for us. So it worked out okay.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah, but it will be interesting to watch, and something that it looks like the Rangers are going to have to monitor for at least these first couple weeks. So
was the right side of your brain, even as the left side of your brain had to do this, did it catch anything? Like, did Boach react? I mean, he had to have a pretty good reaction to these 2-1-0 victories.
Well, Laura, in the post game question, said, "This is the first time Rangers ever won 2-1 games." He goes, "Really? That surprises me."
Yeah.
He did say, Laura asked about the offense, and he says, "I need it to start picking up." It sounds like these 1-0 games aren't very good on nearly 70-year-old hearts and nerves. So anyway, the expectation is it's going to happen, but you're still, like you said, post game when we were talking before the show, it's like, well, we said the same thing last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We said the same thing last year.
Yep. Yeah, you figure it's going to happen, but it's got to happen. And let's hope that maybe this weekend it begins to happen. As it is, though, the Rangers have won 5 games and lost just 2, despite the fact that they are winning these really, really close games and not scoring very many runs. We come back and we want to talk a little bit more about the offensive woes, and we'll also get to a weekend preview of the games against Tampa and some other news around baseball. It's all coming. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Oh, baby, it's sleeper time. And DLLS Rangers, use that code. You will get up to a $100 match on your first deposit from Sleeper. Our favorite daily picks, I don't know, service provider?
No doubt.
I don't know what you call
No
them.
doubt.
It's a service for me. I enjoy it. So does Henry Wilson, who coaxed me into placing a Sleeper daily picks yesterday. And he came close, got 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah, Fernando Tatis Jr. did not get a hit for him, though, so he didn't cash in. He was really counting on that $11. And then I ended up hitting an NBA play last night.
Nice.
Just
Any
for
double-doubles in
Just
there?
for a little bit. It was only double-doubles.
Yep.
Yeah. So that worked out pretty good. So there are all kinds of ways you can do it. You find a player, will he have a double-double or not? Will he get more than a half a hit? Meaning, will he get a hit? It's crazy, and sometimes you think the stuff that are layups, it's not, and that's what makes it so fun. So again, Sleeper, code DLLS, up to $100 match on your first deposit.
Sounds like it won't be long before Henry Wilson needs Monarch money. He is going to make some money on this betting deal, on the sleeper picks, and he's going to need a way to manage it. And that's a very smart thing to do, young man. Manage that money and use Monarch money to do so. I remember when the very first, they weren't even apps then, whatever they called them, services, online services came out to help you manage your money. And they were amazing. Well, Monarch Money has taken that whole thing to a new level. It helps you not only manage your money, it helps you grow your wealth. It is a really great service, and I think you should definitely avail yourself to this great, great service. Get control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser, and you get half off your first year, 50% off the first year at Monarch Money with the code DLLS. So, Josh Smith said on the postgame interview that he feels like a season is often defined by how well you do in one-run games. So, success. Let's go. We're done. Rangers,
that's right.
Because they're doing very, very well in one-run games thus far this year. That said, and I know Boch has said that. I think he said it during the homestand. It'd be nice to have a breather, kind of like they were on the wrong end of the 14-3 game, but to have a 14-3 game, the other way. Yeah,
kind of get out and let the bats get on a roll and get swinging. Though it didn't carry over for the Red Sox the other night. But one-run games, you can look back in Rangers history. The 2016 team that won the division was something like 36-13 or something like that in one-run games. They won division. They didn't have a great run differential, and so when the playoffs started, a lot of teams were like, "Well, look at that run differential." And it ended up.
And I didn't buy that math. I really didn't at the time, and it was right. I mean, it was right.
So then, here comes 2022, and they're just giving away one-run games left and right. Well, guess what? Chris Woodward and John Daniels got fired in the same week. So Josh Smith might be onto something there. You definitely need to win more than you lose. You need to have those games where you're trailing after 7 on the road and you come back and you win a close one late. You need games like that to get you over the hump. And right now to win games like this, I mean a win's a win, but it does kind of test your mettle. These close games. It shows you do know how to win a game and what it takes to win a game. But this offense as it is right now, it has to get better, and it's
no doubt.
It's got to, because it can't get much worse.
No, it really can't.
It needs to kind of happen.
They're getting 3 hits a game and 4 hits. Today was 3 hits. Each team actually had 3 hits today. You need more than 3 hits. I mean, to me, I honestly think there's nothing more frustrating offensively than a high number in that LOB, left on base column.
Yeah.
That said, I'll take 11 LOB over 3 hits. Right? You gotta get on base, right? The only way you're going to score runs is to get guys on base, and there haven't been any walks in part due to great pitching, and there haven't been enough hits, and so consequently, I think would the Rangers have 4 base runners? Was it just 1 walk today?
I was going to look up the box score right now. They didn't have a lot of lobs. I know that.
No, there was hardly any.
And the point is with the left on base. That means, all right, you're creating opportunities. So then it becomes incumbent on you on a team to hit with runners in scoring position. So you got to have the RISP and you got to have the lob.
Yep.
But the lob kind of comes before the RISP, because if you don't have anybody in scoring position to drive in, well,
that's right.
There you go.
You don't need to worry about RISP.
Many opportunities.
Like RISP isn't even a stat you need to look at if you don't have the lob. So it's a vicious cycle in that case, and there's no RISP right now, and there's no lob right now, and so the Rangers are, obviously clearly struggling offensively.
So four lobs today for the Rangers. Only 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. They only had 1 try with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah.
How about that?
because
Jack
so
it would have been the Smith
Jack scored
double
from first. That's right. Yeah, that's
so
right.
it would have been the at bat after Himes at bat after Smith's double.
Yeah. So anyway, it's one of those things, and like Jeff said in the last segment, he was saying when I came in, he said, I'm gonna have to write about the offense, and I'm like, it's coming now. Right now, you can still say, oh, it's okay. The offense, offense always comes around. But again, we said it all last year, so we can't just rely on that. Typically, it does. I feel pretty certain that it will, because they've improved the offense. On paper anyway, Jeff, they've improved it considerably with Jock Peterson, with Jake Berger, with Kyle Higashioka. I mean, there's guys that were specifically brought in to help address some of the offensive woes that this team had last year. Eventually, they are going to play to their numbers.
Well, you'd think so, and then if not, then at what point do you start looking at the hitting coach? And we love Donnie Ecker, and but if you have a season and a half or more than 1 season of lack of production and guys aren't getting better, well, you may have to start examining that a little more, and maybe the Rangers already have. But you're looking for internal improvements from guys like Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim, who've been really pretty good to start the year. And so 7-game sample size, but they've been good. Marcus Semien hasn't. He needed to be better. So they do need a little more time, to be perfectly honest. It's too early to say fire them all and
sure,
let's start calling up guys from the minor leagues. But it's something now that you're going to kind of have to watch, because it's too much to put on the pitching staff to have to win 1-0 and 3-2 and 2-1. Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Justin Vila yet. Did you talk to him either at spring training
just
or here?
Introductory stuff. How you doing? But he and Donnie work together for Giants, so they kind of speak the same language.
Simpatico,
Okay, so is that language spoken by the players? And it's a different language. It is. It's Donnie talks about a lot of biomechanics stuff and things like that. But the changes they ask the hitters to make are, they study them and think it's the best for the hitter. But also, it's worth noting that some of these guys have their own hitting coaches.
Yes.
If we're
Corey Seager,
we need to be fair. Corey Seager basically has a hitting coach who he hires on the side and sends video to every day. And the Rangers guys kind of are like at Grease Monkey. They're not the head mechanics. They're changing the oil. They're keeping them sharp. And Adolis Garcia has started doing that too, because he worked with Bobby Witt's hitting coach over the offseason. All right, that's fine. All right, but you got to be on the same page, and you kind of worry less about Corey Seager because it's Corey Seager.
Yep.
Adolis was willing to make an adjustment that the Rangers asked him to make during spring training, kind of on an approach thing. So that's good. But it's still, it's not necessarily every hitter is getting primary instruction from Rangers hitting coaches.
No, that's exactly right, and that is the nature of the game in this day and age. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because, again, these guys all grow up with specific specialized coaches. I mean, even Henry, you tell me, he's got a coach, obviously, on his team, but he goes to a special hitting instructor as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and guys in the offseason, they're not, if they don't live locally, they're not going to obviously be working with the hitting coaches. But the ones who do live locally, Heim's one of them. He worked with the hitting coaches in the offseason. So did Leody Taveras, who the results haven't been there, but he had a better spring and his bats have been better here. Marcus Semien, I believe, worked out at the ballpark. So there's a group of guys who are getting some feedback from the guys the Rangers are paying to give feedback to. So I don't know. We're making excuses here. I mean, it's only a week.
Here's the amazing thing about hitting is that yes, the message to be delivered is the same from every hitting coach. And so when we talk about Donnie Ecker and the way he delivers it, maybe there's a couple of different things that are approach-wise, but the reality is you basically have to get that bat through the hitting zone at the right time to hit the ball. Yeah. And there are 1,000 million different ways for guys to say it. I remember doing stories on hitting coaches way back in the day, and they're going, yeah, I don't know why what I do works, but it works. And it did.
Yeah.
And so it's nowadays everything we understandably we try to apply the science and the logic and all the different things available to us. But the reality is it's, hold bat, see ball, hit ball. And there's different ways to deliver that message. But, the only thing that would concern me a little is if it's not natural anymore, right? That's sure. What you hope that through the message that Donnie is delivering and Justin is delivering is that you still feel natural when you go to the plate.
Yeah. One other thing to watch, and this came up in the offseason, like Jake Berger, when he came over, he's been his two seasons in the majors. Teams have been getting him out with lower pitches lower in the strike zone. Well, early in spring training, the Rangers addressed it, and he was handling those pitches. So that's something to watch. It's not from a lack of effort on anybody's part.
Nope.
The hitters aren't trying to get outs, and the information that they're receiving is not designed to get them out. It's just sometimes pitchers are really good. Sometimes it takes a little warm weather to get heated up. I don't know. Seems like there's a lot conspiring against the offense right now. But again, maybe they're just 1 10-run game from busting out.
Yeah, I believe that if it weren't for last year, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because this happens a lot. Not only at the beginning of the year, it's more heightened at the beginning of the year. And think if the Rangers were 2-5.
Right.
And we're losing all these 1-run games,
yeah.
We'd all be ready to push the panic button.
Right.
They're winning the games, and I don't think we'd be having this conversation if it weren't that it just seemed like the offense didn't ever really quite come around last year. It will. It always does. Watch, if not before then, watch when the weather heats up, which here happens pretty quick. And, of course, the temperature is always the same here pretty much because we don't keep the roof open very often. So, it's going to happen for this offense. It's too well constructed with too many guys who have too much experience for it not to work here. So I don't think there's any big picture worry about this offense, I guess, Jeff, until there is,
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think the first 7 games of a season are the time to hit that panic button.
Not even close. You don't even need to find it yet. But the Rangers definitely do want to, need to, and will hit better than they have thus far. Can they win at a higher percentage? I don't know. But if they do, well, by God, they're going to the World Series with the undefeated Dodgers.
That's right.
So
the Padres are undefeated too.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
And we mentioned already, the Angels are in first place. The White Sox are up there in like second place in the and beating up on the Cardinals, I think, again today, weren't they?
Yeah.
So-
Well, no, because Mista is in the chat going crazy. Brock Burke just gave up 7 runs in the 8th.
Oh, God.
The Angels and Jeff Fletcher, who's one of their beat writers, he was saying he had no idea how they were going to get through the game today. So I think that's why Brock Burke was left in the game so long, because they were very, very short on relievers and apparently didn't make a roster move. So that explains that.
So
why
Burke
Wash left him in.
Yeah, Burke took one for the team.
Basically,
Yeah.
and
Burke.
maybe on a flight to Salt Lake City tonight.
Yeah, might well be. So, wow. Well, there you go. And good for you, Mista. The Cardinals have come back in a big way. So, more coming up. As we look ahead to the weekend against Tampa Bay Rays, a quick 3-game homestand for the Rangers, and we'll talk about some other news around the game of baseball today. It's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. But you got to become a diehard. I really encourage it. Jeff does such a great job, as do our other writers. Every one of our writers is super busy right now. You got, 2 of them, thankfully, for the Cowboys over there with Clarence Hill and Joseph Hoyt, because, God, Jerry Jones just can't get out of his own way. Yeah. He's going to say he doesn't even know it's basically like saying you don't know Scott Boris's name if you're the owner of a major league team. This is the preeminent NFL owner. Jerry doesn't know, not owner, but agent, and Jerry doesn't know his name. Anyway, there's so much to write about things like that, and as well as the Stars, who are one of the best teams in the league, going away. Mavs, who have been completely unable to get out of their own way since the trade. So all that stuff is available to you for so cheap, $79.99. You get a free shirt each and every year that you become a diehard, plus 20% off all of the things that we provide, which are trips and fun activities out and trips to Cosm and all those things. So alldlls.com, become a diehard today.
We did not make any wardrobe changes from pregame to post. So our uniform had not changed. I'm sporting the camo DLLS hoodie with the red shirt that you see there on the screen underneath. John's got the diehard. I almost wore Texas Chew today, and I thought that you might wear it.
I think I just wore it. I think it's in the wash.
I thought you might still wear it again.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm wearing it Friday. Don't wear it.
All right, I won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, these shirts are awesome. Store.allcitynetwork.com. We got 2 more coming out. Hello Win column, and it's baseball time in Texas. Mine are in the mail.
So if they come on time, you might.
I might have to. I might have to wear one of those. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. But we're going to hold Texas Chew in reserve, just in case. But anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, beer mugs, steins, coffee cups. Get everything you need there.
Yeah, it's great. We love their stuff. We love you chatting along with us. We appreciate you and keeping up with everything for us. Let's first talk about this weekend series in Tampa, and after an off day, which I don't even want to say is much needed, but needed, helpful. The bullpen is now going to be completely fine.
Yeah.
And again, that's more so than the off day. That's based on what Nathan Eovaldi did yesterday.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
they got a full day of rest yesterday. It was just pretty normal today. Obviously Jacob Webb was in there. I don't know if we mentioned Jacob, but he did a good job. I will say this, too, with regard to the way then things played out. I was surprised that Jacob came back out for the 7th inning and not just go straight to Robert Garcia.
Well, I think they wanted him to face the right-hander, and he did, and Jacob did his job.
He did, and it was an error.
Got the grounder, and that was the Duran error. But Webb is really good against lefties, and so I've kind of expected him in some spots against lefties through 7 games, but it hasn't happened. But to your point, and to what I wrote today, if Eovaldi goes 5 innings yesterday or 6 innings, and they have to use the bullpen, what happens today when Jack Leiter's got to come out after 5? It really, what Nathan did yesterday really set the Rangers up for today. On the Rays series, Molly, DeGrom, Rocker for the Rangers, 3 right-handers for the Rays, so no DH day for Corey Seager. Zach Littell, Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen. I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before. Zach Littell was in Rangers camp trying to get on as a reliever.
That's right.
And then he goes to AAA. The Rays offer him a big league deal, and son of a gun, he's in their rotation now.
Yeah.
They don't have the real kick-ass lefty whose name I can't remember right now. Had Tommy John surgery. Now he's got a shoulder deal. McClanahan, Shane McClanahan.
Shane McClanahan, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, but man, what a story this Jack Leiter is. And he's the one who, in his last season with the Giants, flipped the ball at Gabe Kapler, or had it out with Gabe Kapler on the mound, and then Gabe just kind of let it happen, and then went to the dugout and just aired him out. And the next day, boom, Sacramento. Wow.
Yeah.
So
don't do that. Yeah.
And
don't do that.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, they did not retain him. So
yeah. So so I gotta believe, Jeff, at this point, two of those three pitchers for the Rangers are chomping at the bit. Maybe Tyler Mahle most of all. I just have to think that he was obviously hoping, expecting, planning for so much better in his first start, and with his veteran experience, I'm sure he actually probably wouldn't have minded starting one of the games in this series, because that's back home for him. But
right.
But in any event, I got to believe Mahle is anxious to get out there and, lack of a better word, redeem himself.
Yeah, just kind of get that one out of the way. Flush it, because it was unusual. I mean, we haven't seen him a lot.
No,
he hasn't. An inning and 2/3 with 4 walks. That ain't great.
No.
And so something was up. Maybe his mechanics were screwy. I don't know what it was. The nerves could have been it. I mean, this is a big year for him. He missed almost all of last year because of Tommy John, and the year before that he made the 3 starts, and he had a shoulder deal. Turned out to be a stress reaction in his shoulder. All right, it was fine. And he looked great in spring training. He really did. So, this is his last year of the contract with the Rangers, so maybe he feels some pressure to go out and perform for free agency. I don't know, but I tell you, with Patrick Corbin somewhere throwing pitches
lurking
somewhere, and available on April 11th, you kind of start to wonder, okay, what happens if Mahle and Rocker aren't any good? Whose spot he's going to take? I would assume Rocker, because Mahle's making $16.5 million this year. But I mean, you're not going to get rid of Leiter at this point.
Yeah,
he's not leaving the rotation, so they're going to have some things to decide. But these things always seem to work themselves out.
They do.
That we were talking about 3 center fielders. What's going to happen? Well, it worked itself out. So, Rarities asks, what's your prediction on the rotation when Bradford and Gray return? Well, that's another thing. I don't know. Bradford has worked as a reliever, but the Rangers definitely see him as a starting pitcher. Gray, obviously, we talked about it throughout the offseason. Could he be a great reliever? He's making a pretty hefty sum, and is a starting pitcher and looked fantastic. They both did in spring training. So I don't know. That's a good question.
The question is a good one, because what's happened here is that Jack Leiter, at least through 2 starts, has sort of said, I'm a part of this rotation.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what's happening. And so when those 2 come back, now you have 6. But again, who knows? I mean, maybe we're going to find out. Sometimes when guys are so uncharacteristic, like Mahle was in his first start, you find out that, he had this nagging thing and he just didn't want to mess with it. And he didn't want to say anything yet, or whichever, right? And the next thing you know, perhaps Mahle needs to take some time, needs to be shut down for a while, who knows what. Any number of things could happen. But to your point, and to Rarity's point, look, Jack Leiter has announced his arrival. That could change, but it sure doesn't look like it. I mean, I got to believe he's going to be taking the mound, next time out with a tremendous amount of confidence. I guess that'll be against the Cubs.
Because that would be
Rocker,
the
middle game against the Cubs.
Wrigley. It's so early. And what if this blister puts him on the injured list?
Sure.
So they're just a lot of things that can happen between now and then. But it's if it stays like this, well, all right. You seem to kind of have an idea what's going to happen. When do we panic about Semien? I wouldn't panic about him yet. I know the postseason and last season weren't great, but he's going to figure it out. I think.
I do too. I don't know.
But he's going to play, but maybe he doesn't need to be the leadoff hitter if this continues.
No, if this continues, he probably doesn't need to be the leadoff hitter. I heard the radio boys. I don't remember. I think it was Matt, not Eric, but might have been Eric. One of them yesterday saying, it looks like through spring training and through the early part of the season that the most consistent hitter on this team is going to be Wyatt Langford.
Agreed.
And I agree with that too. And so, if that's the case, and look, he can do a lot. So, yes, you like him in the 2 or 3 spot in the batting order, but maybe you make him a leadoff hitter. You know?
And we were talking one day with Bruce Bochy in spring training and about this, and he's like, we've thought about Langford, we've thought about Jake Berger, and we've thought about Jock Peterson. Okay, well, the leadoff man doesn't need to go out and steal you 30 bases. I mean, Wade Boggs was a leadoff hitter for part of his career, so not exactly the fastest guy on the planet. And so I think that's the change you'll see. He's not going to be sitting or anything like that, and they're not going to give him 2 days off to work on his hitting. They're just probably going to drop him into the order. He batted second, he batted first, he batted fifth for the Blue Jays before he came to the Rangers. Yeah. So he can hit anywhere, and he's even said he doesn't really care where he hits. He doesn't need to be the leadoff hitter. That's interesting. So
yeah, it really is. It'll be a interesting series, and it's just a quick trip home. So get out there and have some fun watching the Rangers against the Rays this weekend. See if they can continue the way they've started this season, winning 2 straight series. Now, a couple other notes from the world of baseball. First, Mike Trout.
Mike Trout
is back.
Home run.
Got a homer. Straight away center field, too.
Yeah. No, good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
For the first place Angels. So there you go. And then interesting for a guy who we just saw this weekend, and by the way, we're very impressed with, the rookie Kristian Campbell of the Boston Red Sox, Jeff, has agreed to an 8-year contract extension. He's got 7 games under his belt, and he's signed up for 8 years, $60 million.
Teams can try to do this stuff. It's risky. It really is. I mean, you've seen some success stories with Evan Longoria. But you've seen some bad ones like John Singleton and Rougned Odor.
Sure.
Jackson Merrill signed a 9-year, $135 million with the Padres, and so Rarity's asked, we need to give Langford an extension. I guess he didn't ask. He's saying need to give Langford an extension. It may not be a bad idea, and maybe that's what the Rangers are working on right now. So maybe
who's his agent?
It's not one of the big ones.
Okay,
it's not
Boris.
It's not Boris.
Yeah. Okay. Because Boris ain't going to sign that.
No. So maybe you go ahead and knock that one out right now, and maybe tap the brakes on Leiter. And Rocker is Boris. So that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Rarities, and I kind of had the thought myself.
It is, and I saw somebody else in the chat say, Leiter, Rookie of the Year. And it's interesting because when you went through all the list of, at the beginning of the year, everybody went through the list before the season started of, who are the Rookie of the Year candidates. That's one name you never saw. You saw Rockers, right?
Yeah.
But one name you never saw was obviously, they didn't even mention Leiter. I just assumed, MC, that you were talking Leiter. And it's one name you never saw. But I tell you what, this kid keeps pitching like this. He's in that conversation.
100% he is, and Jackson Jobe, he was your pick, right? Your Tigers guy. Anyway, and then Justin asked about Teodo, who pitched last night and threw 2 scoreless innings, struck out 4. I don't know when he will get called up, but
it seems more and more likely that it'll be this year.
It seems like it's going to happen because they're gonna, like we explained earlier this week, and Ross Fenstermaker on an episode of the Weekly Show said that they're going to hold him to around 3 innings. So, and then they're going to make a decision if they need him with the big league club. And if they don't, then he can get stretched out a little bit further to start. And if they do, he can come and help out the bullpen. I wouldn't say it's going to happen imminently. The Rangers seem to be content, at least for the time being, with what they have. Things are going to change, though, next week. or whenever they decide Corbin is ready to join the club, and where and how he'll join the club. So change will be afoot, but you also have to, I think they have a plan for him. How often is he going to pitch?
Right.
That's the thing. When you come up to the majors, you can't pitch twice a week. You may have to pitch 3 or 4 times a week. And I know he's a prized young arm. He'll be going multiple innings, but it's really hard to plan those outings out just based on what happens in a game. You can say, oh, let's target him to pitch behind Molly. Well, what if Molly goes out and is dealing and gets into the seventh?
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to go to Teodo there. You're going to go to your guys. So we'll see. We'll see on that. I do think, though, it just feels like it's going to happen. He just every time he's pitched this spring, and I guess the 1 or 2 times he's pitched for Round Rock, it's been fabulous.
Yeah, it's been great. He's brimming with confidence, no doubt about that. So is this Rangers team, and rightly so. They're getting wins, and they're getting wins in close games. 1-0 again today. First time in Rangers history that the team has won back-to-back 1-0 games. So there's that. And then we're off tomorrow because the Rangers are off tomorrow. It won't always work that way, but it does this time. We'll be back again on Friday for a noon edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. And make sure you keep an eye on social media for all the stuff that Jeff will be creating out there over the course of the weekend. Then, of course, we've got the Sunday pre- and post-game on Getaway Day. So lots of action coming up. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.